Hey everybody, this is Tim Hinton, the Beast of the Marching Arts. I hope you're having a great day. I'm here talking with Gary Rupert. Gary, how are you?
I'm well, Tim. Thank you.
Thanks everybody for watching. We are talking about a new service, LCL Mentors from Leaders Creating Leaders. Leaders Creating Leaders is a great company that does a lot of work helping people with leadership, with their directors, mentorship, and leadership. And we are now at Marching Arts Education. I'm helping them sort of get this out into the world and setting up the mentorship program. So, Gary, you've been a part of Leaders Creating Leaders for a while.
Yeah, pretty much from the start. When the pandemic hit, I got a call from Tyson, who is the owner of the company. And he said that he was getting together with some band directors out on the West Coast, and would I be interested in stopping by? And that initial meeting was just a conversation about how do we deal with band in the pandemic? You know, what are people going to do? How are they going to make adjustments? And so the initial meeting was just a bunch of us sitting around talking about the possibilities and what needs to happen. And out of that grew the idea of LCL, which was creating a service which could help people, not just through the pandemic, but through the whole process of being a band director.
Right, and I love the idea of mentoring. Any great director or a person of any kind, really, they'll say they had somebody that they could go to ask questions, to get advice. Doesn't matter if you're a drill designer, a guard, choreographer, a band director, whatever part of the activity that you do, there are times when you need some advice. You're like, I'm not sure what to do, or I've never been in this situation. Gary, you were a band director for 40 years. You have tons of experience. You're a great example of the quality and expertise that the people at LCL are bringing to the table here to help people out. But you've got to have somebody that you can go to ask questions.
Yeah, well, thank you, first of all, for the compliment. When I began teaching, education has always been kind of considered a linear process that, if you put the same things in at the front end, you should get the same things in at the back end. But that's a falsehood because we're dealing with people. It's not like we're dealing with an assembly line where nothing really changes in between. The nuances of dealing with people make that, that need to have nuance and adjustments happen. When I first started teaching, I needed to depend on some friends. And fortunately, I had some very good friends who were able to help me. Tim Lotzenheiser is a dear friend. I've known Tim for, probably 40 years. He was the person that was able to help me along with the creating a positive culture within my band. I had all these kids, and I knew all the music stuff, but I didn't know how to make them all work together. And so Tim was very helpful in helping me do that. Michael Coomer, who at the time was the Dean of Music School at Duquesne University, and I was in Pittsburgh, was also a close friend. And Michael helped me to be able to find a life and work balance. When I would get really frustrated on the job or whatever, I would take some time and go down and spend with Michael. And he would just kind of talk me through all of the different things that I needed to think about in terms of balancing my life. And then, as most people coming out of music school, you have kind of all the tools, but you don't know what to do with them, And I was fortunate to be very close to Norwin High School, which was at the time, the band director was L.J. Hancock. And it was at the very beginning of the Bands of America movement. And Norwin's band was one of the top bands at the time. And so I would go spend time with
L.J. Everybody's heard of the Norwin band from up there. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but like that's like they were a stellar program, sure still are.
Absolutely. And so LJ was a friend. And so I would go to practices and I would steal everything I could steal from LJ. And initially I thought, well, if I just take this back to my school and use it, then that will make my band better. But that was, again, that linear approach to things. Just because I put the same things in doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to get the same things out. And I had to learn the nuances of those things. So having conversations with LJ one-on-one on why do you do this? How does it work? What's the impact? That helped me to begin to really understand the need to be reflective about what I do as an educator. So those three gentlemen were very integral in setting me up so that I could be successful throughout my career.
And we're talking about LCL Mentors. It's a new service at Marching Arts Education from Leaders Creating Leaders. and you simply go there and you can sign up for a certain number of sessions, and then you can use them however you and your team need them. And Gary, that story you just told about the mentors that you had as a young director are so important, because we all come in with different tools, things we're good at, things we aren't good at. I know there were certain things when I started teaching that I felt like I was really, really good at, but there were all these other things that I knew I didn't know what to do. And I had to have somebody that I could ask those questions, or I just sort of floundered through it. And that's really stressful. So to me, like sort of the idea of beating the stress a little bit, taking care of some stress, because you have a big parent meeting coming up or something with your administration, or there's an issue with fundraising, all these things that we have to be able to do. And if you're not sure about it, it's good to be able to bounce those ideas off of somebody.
Absolutely. And, having the experience now, 40 years removed, it's kind of like I used to have a picture made to put in the front of my band room where I drew a hand, just kind of like the outline of a hand, like a little kid would draw. And then I went to the art teacher and I said, would you draw me a hand, with all the different nuances of the hand, where you can see the pores and you can see the coloration of the nails and all those kinds of things. And I put those two things in the front of my room side by side. And under the one, it said, this is a hand. And on the other one, it said, this is art. And that allowed me to have the conversation with my students about the difference between just playing the notes and understanding all of the nuances within the music itself to make it sound artistic. In the same vein, teaching is like that. At the beginning, we look like that hand. We can draw that hand. By the time you gain all of the experiences, both through your own experiences and through the shared experiences of my mentors, being able to tell me about their stories and how they impacted them, allowed me then to be able to move from just drawing a hand to being able to draw more like a piece of artwork. And then the more experience I got, the closer I got to that piece of artwork.
Yeah. So everybody, if you're watching this, go to lclmentors.com, LCL Mentors for Learning Creative Leaders Creating Leaders, lclmentors.com. You can find out all about this, how you can sign up. I think that if I was a young director, I got to tell you, Gary, like if I was a young director and I was like, there's all kinds of ways that I can try to get help. If I didn't have a mentor, somebody that I knew I could build a relationship with and have an ongoing conversation with about, okay, here's what I kind of need this week, or here's what happened this month, or however I wanted to do that, I think it would be very easy for me to go either to my boosters, to my administration and say, hey, I want to sign up for a bunch of these sessions. I want to have this service to sort of help me guide through, or even help my team. If a member of my team is struggling with something, I know there's somebody that they can go to if they don't have that person to ask to. So I feel like it's not going to be hard to convince somebody that this is going to be valuable for them to invest in.
Well, you would hope so. You would think that whether you went to your boosters or you went to your administration, that all of us are looking out for the same thing, and that is that we want our students to be effectively prepared to move forward in life. And that happens most directly with the educators that are in the front of their rooms every day. So anything that we can do to improve that process for them, both in terms of their delivery of information, plus their own growth and learning, that has to be money well spent. And you would hope that both parties, both boosters organizations and administrative staffs, could see the value in that.
And there's a lot of ways that directors can learn things. And for example, I have the Marching Roundtable podcast. We have Marching Arts Education. There's webinars. There's all kinds of ways that people can access information. There's the Dynamic Marching Band online course that Wayne Markworth and I created that is, again, another way to sort of get information. But the thing I like about this mentoring service is that it's so personal, because I have special things that I'm good at, or that I'm deficient at, or that I need help with, or that I need to learn. If I can, it's like Gary, if I was to set up at every 2 weeks, I'm going to have a phone call with you or a Zoom call with you. I'm just going to check in, and I'm going to get guidance from you as I go. Man, that first year or two, or actually any point in my career, how valuable that could be, that I could get your expertise to help me figure some things out.
Yeah, I agree. I spent a lot of time during my growth as a music educator, reading about quality leaders and quality educators and all those kinds of things. And that was really helpful. But that one-on-one conversation is is much more valuable, and to be able to build a relationship in which, you and I could have a conversation at any point in time. You could call me and say, Gary, I have this problem, I have this question. Do you have anything in your bag of tricks or your experience that will help me to understand how I need to approach this? That's such a great tool. And I think that's one of the positives about the LCL mentors, is that we've got some really, really bright people that are our coaches, and they have a wide range of backgrounds and experience and expertise. And so not only in the case of LCL mentors are you hiring a singular mentor, but you're hiring a team of mentors. In the way that works is that if you ask me something that I don't have the answer for, there's somebody on our team that probably does, and I will direct you to that person to get you the most effective help that I can.
Yeah, I love that very much, and it's a great service. We're going to see how it goes, but I think that there's a lot of benefit for a lot of people here. So if you're watching this and you know anybody you can use some help, or if you know anybody that doesn't have a really strong mentor or that needs a resource where they can ask some questions or get some advice. I mean, even Gary, I'm a designer now, but a lot of times as I'm putting a show together, even if I have all these ideas, I have really smart people that I've worked with many, many years, and I can say, I'm thinking that we want to make it orange, and I have this idea. What do you think? Like just bouncing ideas. As you've said, we've all been there. You've solved a lot of problems, had a lot of problems that you figured out that we can maybe help some people figure out. So I think just having somebody that you can check in with who has been there and has good experience that you can lean on, it's really helpful.
It is. Tyson and I, Tyson Wooters, who is one of our coaches and the owner of the company, Tyson and I had the opportunity to work together for 3 or 4 years at the West Virginia University Leadership Camp. And it was one of those times when the two of us could sit down and we could have these candid conversations back and forth about what we were going to present collectively. But the great part about that was that Tyson might say something that triggered a completely different thought in my mind in terms of my perception of what we were doing, that allowed me to see a different view, or vice versa. I might say something and Tyson would go, oh, I haven't thought about it that way. So that interaction, even at that level, is so important because it helped both of us to grow through that process. So through our experiences, our shared experiences, as mentors, if we can do that for young directors, just be a sounding board and allow them the opportunity to talk about things, and then we might say something or offer a story about an experience that we had that becomes now a shared experience that will kind of trigger their thought process and open up their eyes to something that they may not have seen.
Yeah, it's great to get somebody that's been there, that's been around, get their expertise to sort of weigh in, or just have, be the right person to have a great conversation with. So anyway, lclmentors.com, it will take you to a site at Marching Arts Education where you can sign up, you can find out more about it, you can learn about the mentors. There's videos there where each of the mentors sort of describes what they're good at and who they are. Hopefully it'll be really interesting for you to go and check that out. If you know anybody that is, sort of in the situation where they could use that advice or could have a mentor situation that would help them to grow as an educator, help their program to grow, I hope that you will help them, let them know that this is here. Gary, final thoughts before we go.
Yeah, just a point of clarity for anybody who is interested in our services. What you're not going to get through our services is someone just telling you how to do something. That's not what we're about. What we're about is working with you to help you find the questions that lead you to the answers that you need to do, you need to find. It's about a process in which I can help you to grow so that you become a better educator and your students become, better students because you were, more effectively addressing their needs. So it's important that you understand that we're not looking to give you the answers. I don't have all the answers. What I have is a lot of experience, questions that have allowed me to find the answers when I need to find them. It's like if I don't know a word, I use a dictionary and look it up. And so the process of our mentoring service is really to help you learn how to do that.
Fantastic point. I appreciate you clarifying that and explaining that in that way. It's really helpful. Here to help you grow, draw the information out of you and help you to learn how to move forward and be more effective with your students. I love it. Gary, thanks for being such a good advocate for this and for sharing your expertise now. Even as you're retired from being a band director, you're still out there really helping a lot of people continue to grow and do better. One of the ways you're doing that is here at LCL Mentors. So thank you for your help doing that.
Thanks, Tim, and thanks for your support to our services.
Of course, I'm looking forward to helping to make it happen. Everybody have a fantastic day. And thanks for watching. Gary, great conversation with you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tim. I appreciate it as well.
Have a great day, everybody.